Number two, I remember when my kids were small, I went to school because I said I need to really upgrade if I want to get a better pay or promotions. Don't care how hard you work. They ain't checking for you. I didn't see that. I was working myself under the ground while others sitting down having a good time. And they ain't checking for you. As long as you don't have that paper, ain't nothing happening for you. Okay? And so I decided I would go back to do my CPS. That's certified professional secretary. That's what it was back then. But they changed the name to nowadays the certified administrative professional. Because when you're a secretary, you don't just do typing and secretary work. You do administrative work. So that's why the name needed to change to certified administrative professional. Well, while I was in school, I used to never reach on time. I used to meet 7 o'clock because back then the government we used to come out 5:30, knock off from work. By the time as I go home and make sure my children settle in and get back on the road to go to school, I never reached the school early yet. I was the only student in that class used to reach the school 7 p.m. every day. And that was the best I could have done. See, I was married to a fisherman. My husband used to go to sea for 3, 4 weeks at a time crawfishing. And during those times, I lived too far away. And not only that, I came from a questionable family, so I wasn't going to let none of them mind my children. My duty as a parent is to protect my children in every which way. So I was not never going to let none of them mind my children. Okay? And so, therefore, I had trained my children how to take care of themselves at a very early age. And I had 5 dogs. I have battle wire fencing, everything. And my gates locked, you name it. My children were trained. They never could have gone in my kitchen because they had no need. And the kitchen had a thing to keep kids out. Not only that, they were always given hot food because I get up 5 o'clock every morning and cook dinner at 5 o'clock before I leave out for work. I had to reach the work for 9, and my kids used to be in QCELC at the time. They used to be to work for school for 8:30. So I used to be on the road from about 7:15. I live a throne store away from Village Road, right? So it's no big deal. 10 minutes I could have them in school, right? And so my neighbors, the prejudiced neighbors, the Conky Joe ones, yeah, well, all was Conky Joe. They were jealous that I was trying to make something of myself or better myself. They sitting down gossiping. I don't be on that run, talking everybody business in everybody house. And these people go to church every Sunday, and every time the church door open, this is their lifestyle I'm talking about. That's what they does best. And so, even though plenty days they didn't speak to me, I let them know I'm going to school. You can just keep an eye on my gate because no one usually come to me. I don't. I keep my place private. I don't let no one come to me. I keep my home free from people, family, anybody just think you could just pull up to me. I don't play that. I work in crime. I do not play that. Okay? So, um, yeah, I go to them. That's preferred. You know, when they come to me, they have to tell me or ask me when they could because I'm not available. I'm always busy. So let's move on. So when I went to school this night, I came home, no children in the house. I asked them, what y'all do with my children? Because the gate is shut, but I didn't put a lock on it, you know. But the dogs, um, they wouldn't let no one in the yard. But apparently, the tenant that I rent the place from, she must have came and put the thing so the dogs can't come out. And then I have my private walkway. Once she put that thing there, but between me and their house, the dogs will can't come out, and anyone could come straight to my house. So she was a part of the problem, and she'd have just only lived there only 3 months. But she then led these people, she was a black lady I rented to, and she led these people infiltrate her because she won't say when she realized that, but you paid me to get in. So when she realized I'm the real owner and not just someone fronting, the problem starts. So she was on their side and they called the police for my children. So I called 911. None of them answered me. They played foolish. I called 911. The police said they had my children right there at Central Police Station. I went there. They said they only moved my children because of how much the people was calling them and calling them and calling them. So they don't underestimate the police. The police smart. They knew that I was a staff from the court. They knew that I worked day and night also at the court. So they knew, they called the court, and they knew the staff who worked with me told them, some nights she go to school and she is to school tonight. So they called the school telling me I was in the class. Now, anyone who ever been to BBC don't out 8 o'clock. BBC don't out 9 o'clock. I used to come to the school 10 o'clock at night from BBC class. Hello, somebody. That's the time I used to come home in the night, okay, from BBC class. I used to leave the class 10 o'clock, okay? So that's how wicked they is. They wait till I just leave to be calling and bombarding the police to tell them. Now, these neighbors, even though plenty days they didn't speak to me, you say good morning to them, they wouldn't open their mouth. You say good evening, they wouldn't open their mouth. My husband, when he come from sea, because we had a lot, he used to give them fish, give them crawfish, give them stone crab, give them wilks, give them conch, and he never used to give them one little meal. He used to give them enough that they could share with other family members. And rednecks, they like to play rich, like they got it. So they used to had it because they had the crawfish and the grouper from my husband for free. For free, you hear me? But jealousy and vindictiveness is serious. And people will stop at nothing. Proverbs in the Bible tell you that. They'll stop at nothing. They will kill you. But they're jealous over you. That's why if you know someone hating on you, be careful. Don't be no fool. Don't die a fool's death. Don't take nothing from them. Because they ain't mean you no good. Okay? So listen to this now. When I reach home, my husband, he never called me when he out to sea. And to show you the compatibility and the strength that me and my husband have, he was out to sea. And he felt that something was not right at home. This is what he told me. And he called to the single side banner. That's what they used to call it back then, because the boat ready only could reach so far. So he called the single side banner so he could be able to reach home on a long distance collect call. So when they call me and say collect call from my husband, and I know he's out to sea, I was like, yes. And I would never refuse my husband. So look here. He say, Mazel, I having a issue, a breeding issue. And my heart and mind is on you and my children. That something ain't right at home. And when I didn't want to tell him, but because I know what he's saying is he feel it in his spirit, I told him what took place. Boy, and he was so upset. He bring that boat. He was the Keysal must be up by Keysal Bank. And any fisherman know how far that is. He bring that boat in. We run that boat nonstop until he reached the Nassau. And when he reached the Nassau, he docked that boat. He came in like the next day, must he in the middle of the night, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. He docked that boat. And he jogged from Porterski Dock home because we living up in the East Bay, so he could jog home. And he is a long distance runner. And he is very athletic because he's an A1 diver. He jogged home. And when he reached home, he ain't even open the gate. He was calling me from the gate. I was sleeping 3 o'clock in the morning. I only hear him call me once because that's how God made it. That's the two become one. That's husband and wife now. The two become one. Once I hear his voice once, I was already up, even though it was 3 o'clock in the morning. And I was to the door, opening that door because I hear my husband's voice. And he come in the gate and he say, Marcel, and he out of breath. What these people do? And he was so upset. Look here, them people couldn't sleep that night to that corner where he was laying them out and making so much noise at them. And going on everyone porch making noise at them. Oh, now they know. They must think because I married a Conky Joe man, he can side with them against his own flesh. I'm his wife. I'm flesh of his own flesh. That's from the Bible. Get it right. And the two become one. Get it right. He didn't know them. When we was getting married, we was married long before we moved through there. When I bought these houses, I don't know these people was through there. I buy from my Chinese friend. Okay? Okay? I wasn't tuning into them. I trying to make a home so that before I had kids, I can have somewhere to put them. And that's exactly what I do. I don't stutter. That's how evil these people is. Look here. Some of them had to move up for months. Where they couldn't take him. He made their life, couldn't sleep from fooling around me and his children. Okay? And I'm ashamed to say that. Because you could bring the badness out of people depending on how you treat others. And so that's why you need to know how to treat people today. And black people's well, because the neighbor who I rent the house, she was arch one along with the main one to do it. And that's why I give her money back and tell her come on my place because money don't value to me. I grew up in a 2-room, 1 house with nothing. I know what it is to do without. All I need is a little roof over my head, a little clothes on my back. I ain't like these people trying to get what this, that, and the next like that. I get what I need. And I make life to better our condition. But I'm not going to hang myself to do it. Hello? So all I need is my car to try to get me to and fro because when you're older and dealing with all them criminals, you don't be running catching no bus. And the bus take too long and I have a problem. I have a motion problem when it comes to a bus. Where they jerking and stopping so much, I have to come with the bus way before I reach where I'm going to go warm it. Because it makes me sick. So that's a reason I don't like bus. And then the diesel and all that from the bus makes my head spin and sick. I'm not like other people. So that's the problem I have. So I try to always keep my car or a car on the road. Man, look here. When you talk about prejudice, they were jealous and envious that the black woman who had more than them through the corner was going to school to better herself even more. While they sit up gossiping, they should have joined me. Because years later, they regret it. They regret it. A bunch of homeless people ain't going nowhere still. Okay? When they could have been doing something to better their life instead of gossiping about other people. Be careful how you treat others. And instead of being jealous of somebody who's trying to do something positive, maybe you need to stop and join them. That's whether you black or you white. But black people are so hateful against each other, even more than even what white people hate against them. You just gotta have a little more than them, and that's all it takes. And that's all it takes. You don't even have to have more than them. You just have to look like better than them, and that's all it takes. And we need to change that. And if somebody is not bothering with you, you shouldn't bother with them. You shouldn't bother with them. It's too much crime in this little country. And most of the crime derives out of hate and envy. And it needs to stop. It needs to stop. Look into your own heart and your own life and see where you can make improvements and go and work on that. And go and work on that. Oh, yeah, I did get rid of that woman on my house. I give her money and she was gone by that week. I get rid of her out of my house. And I understood that everywhere she lived, she was disgusting like that. And so, you know, for a black person who work in government, you'll think they would have been a little more better in their thinking and the way they act. But she lived in my place only 3 months. Time to go. I don't need money that bad, sweetie. Never need money that bad. I learned when you don't have rice, you eat grits. You don't have grits, you got flour, you mix the water with the sugar, you make pancake. You ain't get gas, you go outside and cook on the tree rock. Something you could find to eat. You ain't never need to knock to a neighbor door. And when they couldn't knock, oh, my husband stopped giving them any fish stuff. And he stopped fooling with them. He used to help fix their little old rotten house, just like mine. He used to help fix them. Child, he stopped all of that. Because they was too jealous. And he wasn't having that around his family. His family is first in his life. And I thank God I was married to a man like that. A man who was willing to give his life for his wife and children. And he showed it anytime somebody tried to touch or to fool with his wife or children. And I thank God I had a good husband like that. We were married for 21 years before he passed. And I still think of all those glorious moments that we had. That's why I'm still single, because you don't want to dirty those pretty moments, those beautiful moments. I ain't trying to find nobody, so don't even ask. So that's prejudiceness number 2. I get plenty stories to tell because it need to be told. Over and out.